welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to do some decorative stitching for your car interiors. Things you're going to need for this tutorial are some templates. Here are some I printed off Google. Could be diamonds, could be hexagons, could be whatever you want. Something to mark your vinyl with. In this case I'm going to be using chalk pastel as it doesn't damage the vinyl, or it doesn't scratch it as you're marking the vinyl. Sewing machine of some variety. Some snippers. Obviously you're going to need your vinyl and some scrim foam. I glued this vinyl to some scrim foam off camera using some spray fabric glue. You don't have to use spray fabric glue. I'm aware that other fabric glues are available, but I just find using spray easier. Using my chalk pastel, I have drawn around my templates. Again, the template, this one I got off Google. I will share the link to this template if I can find it. This one I just made. I just folded a piece of card and then just cut a bit. So the next thing you're going to do is just sew along the lines that you drew in your chalk pastel. For precision here, I'm just sewing along the inside of my chalk pastel line because the friction between my sewing machine foot and the fabric just rubs off the outside part. Ideally, you would stabilize the fabric using both of your hands while you're sewing it, but as I'm having to record using my phone and holding my phone in one hand, I'm just using one hand to stabilize the fabric. You're going to sew around these quite slowly. That. And when you've finished your shape, lift your needle out of your fabric. Lift your machine foot up and pull your fabric out of your machine. After you've taken your fabric out of the machine, you snip your threads there and you just clean away the chalk pastel from around the shape. Like that. Here's a variation of the hexagon pattern. So here's a hexagon we started with. Here's a pattern using tracing around sort of like the half of two hexagons, if that makes sense. So you can see the 6 sides there. You trace around the half, and you trace around another half, like that. And then I also did the other part of this pattern in a red. So as you can see there, you trace around like the half, you trace around the other half. So that one would carry on up there. And then down here. And then I arrange the hexagons in like a more isometric pattern to create more of a honeycomb effect. And then I use the sort of honeycombed hexagons here. And then used red thread to go down here. I didn't finish that one because I wanted you to see just the marks in the chalk pastel here and how easily they rub off. I made nearly like a cube pattern here. And this stain here is when I tried to use whiteboard marker to mark the vinyl. Whiteboard marker in this case does stain the vinyl, but if you're working on black vinyl, maybe it won't stain. And the reverse should look very similar to the top. I'm using red underneath because I ran out of the black. So there's the original hexagon that we started with. Obviously this was just a quick demonstration. If I was doing this for a car seat, I would make sure the stitching is a lot neater and go a lot slower on my machine. I'd either try and perfectly go over the top like I have here, or I would leave a really tiny gap like I have here, but I would make sure that gap is consistent across all of the places where I have to overlap. Otherwise it would look kind of like that and not be very neat. And again, I would obviously try and make sure all of my hexagons lined up instead of leaving tiny little gaps there. It doesn't really matter if your pattern goes off the edge of the vinyl, just so long as you carry on the lines.